It all began with our protagonist, Pseudo much, who loved his sleep a little too much like, we're talking 12 hours a day. I mean, come on, my man was basically hibernating like a bear minus the fur and the cave, but then one day he had an epiphany. Sort of. He realized that sleep doesn't magically give you real-life skills. Shocking, right? If only napping could get you into Harvard, suddenly it hit him he missed out on everything. While other people were out there living their best lives, Sudo was snuggled up under the covers, dreaming about who knows what. Maybe that's why he couldn't get into his top-choice university. And let's be real, he had 0 friends. Oof, relatable. I mean, how many of us are just one missed deadline away from spiraling into this guy's life, the only thing that kept him going? His dreams, because, honestly, his real life felt like a never-ending nightmare. While working part-time at a bookstore, Sudo found himself in a familiar rut, his mind drifting off into daydreams. He loved to dream, but when it came to his real future, he had no clue where he was headed. I mean, come on, my guy is a living paradox, dreams for days but none for life. Somebody handed him a self-help book already. Just then, someone called out, Sudo, from behind. And damn, hold up, whoever this is, they got curves for days. Those jeans look like they're one wrong move away from bursting like fireworks on the 4th of July. It's Yamaki, younger than Sudo, but the only person he ever talked to. Honestly, with her around, who needs friends? She held up a manga and asked, where should I put this without missing a beat? Sudo, being the otaku legend he is, answered in a second flat. Man's got more manga knowledge than the internet forums. Impressed, Yamaki gave him a compliment. Wow, you really know your stuff. Sudo, blushing intensifies. You know he's not used to that kind of praise. Then, completely out of nowhere, she invited him out for dinner to chat more. Sudo, shocked, to say the least, but he somehow managed to nod and agree. Bruh, you just scored a dinner date with the thick bookstore babe. Do you even know what just happened? Their dinner. They stepped out onto the road, the cool night air hanging between them. Yamaki smiled and thanked Sudo for joining her, but all Sudo could think was, why did she even ask him out? Did he look that lonely and sad? I mean, we get it, Sudo. You've got that I nap too much vibe. But come on, give yourself some credit. Feeling awkward, he blurted out that he had to head home. But wait, just as he was about to leave, Yamaki grabbed onto his sleeve. Whoa, is this about to get real? She's giving major signals right now. She looked at him with those big eyes and said, I missed the last train. Suddenly it hit him, this was exactly like one of those scenes in TV shows. You know the ones. The kind where things start heating up, the music swells, and well, you know, clapping could be on the horizon. Sudo knew he shouldn't let this chance slip away. Bro, this is it. This is your moment, don't choke. But instead of playing it cool, his nerves kicked in. Like an awkward dork, he offered to pay for a taxi to get her home. What the? Sudo, my guy, what are you doing? A taxi. Seriously, Yamaki's eyes widened, clearly shocked. She seemed upset, biting her lip, and finally said, I went out tonight to try to be brave. I thought. She trailed off, shaking her head. The disappointment was real. She probably figured Sudo wasn't into her. You really messed this one up, man. We could have had a spicy TV moment, but instead, we're ordering Uber rides, trying to save face. Yamaki told him it was fine, she could pay for her own taxi, and then she left, walking away into the night. Sudo stood there, wondering what the heck went wrong. The next week, Sudo found himself searching for Yamaki, but she was nowhere to be found. When he asked his boss, he got hit with some bad news. Yamaki had changed her work schedule. Oof, bro, that's cold. She really hit you with the I'll just disappear move. Sudo felt a sinking feeling in his gut. He thought he'd apologize for messing up, but now it was crystal clear Yamaki must have started hating him. His boss interrupted his pity party and told him to toss out some boxes in the back. Typical workday stuff. But Sudo, being the manga fanatic that he was, couldn't get used to throwing out books, especially manga. I mean, come on. That's like throwing away gold to this man. As he sifted through the stack, something caught his eye, a manga titled Dreaming of Falling in Love with You. It hit a little too close to home, and Sudo couldn't help but pause. The irony of this situation is unreal. Our MC couldn't resist, he ended up taking that manga home with him. I mean, how could he not? The title practically screamed, read me, this is literally your life right now. That night, he cracked it open, hoping for a distraction, but what he got instead was a story about someone falling in love with a girl in their dreams. Geez. Talk about hitting too close to home. It's like the manga gods are rubbing salt in the wound. As he read through the pages, a wave of regret washed over him. He thought back to all those years he spent sleeping through high school, literally and figuratively. While everyone else was out there living, experiencing life, and maybe even having their own love stories, Pseudo was lost in his dreams. Bro, we get it, you were the nap king, and so with all these thoughts, Pseudo eventually fell asleep. The next morning, Pseudo's alarm went off like a siren, blaring in his ear. Groaning, he rolled out of bed, still half asleep. You know it's bad when your first thought is, please let this be a dream. As he stumbled down the stairs, he nearly face-planted classic Pseudo move, but luckily he wasn't hurt. Bro, it's too early for a trip to the hospital. Before he could even process what was happening, his mom burst in, full-on yelling. Do you even know what time it is? She screamed. Yikes, someone's morning coffee is hitting hard. Pseudo blinked, still groggy, and stared at his mom, confused. Wait. Why was he even back home? Wasn't he working at the bookstore? What the heck was going on? His mom, completely unfazed by his confusion, ordered him to eat, and then dropped the bombshell, don't be late for your second day of school. Second day of school? Pseudo's brain short-circuited. Hold up, did he just time travel? Is this some Back to the Future stuff? Pseudo started piecing things together, and a wild thought popped into his head. Wait a second. Am I dreaming about my first year in high school? Bro, this is some serious Inception level stuff right now. The idea hit him that if he was dreaming, he could do anything. And naturally, like any guy with a wild imagination, his first thought was to transform himself into a hot MILF girl. Yep, you heard that right, this man's priorities are something else. Guess you gotta respect the hustle. He closed his eyes, concentrating hard. Come on, dream powers, don't fail me now. But nothing happened. Everything still felt way too real. Well, that's a bummer. You really thought you were about to live your best life as a MILF, huh? Frustrated, Pseudo screamed. If this is a dream, why the hell do I have to go to school? I mean, he's got a point. Nobody dreams about being stuck in class. You're supposed to be flying or living in a mansion, not getting yelled at by your mom. Pseudo reached the bus door. He heard someone yelling behind him. A girl was sprinting towards the bus, waving her arms like a maniac. Wait, hold the bus, she shouted, desperately trying to make it before the doors shut. Pseudo squinted. Wait a minute, he knew this girl. He remembered her missing the bus before, and back then, he hadn't lifted a finger to help. Yeah, let's just say, past Pseudo was not winning any hero points that day, but this time, things were different. Pseudo had made up his mind he was going to become a Chad. No more being the passive, sleepy boy. Today we rise without hesitating. He turned to the driver, mustering all his confidence, and asked, Can you hold the bus for her? The girl who boarded the bus was damn hot, and no joke, she was a total beauty. And let's not forget those thick thighs that could crush any doubts about her status. Seriously, she's a walking thirst trap. She flashed Pseudo a grateful smile, and for a moment he felt like he might actually be able to connect with someone. Look at you, Pseudo. All it took was a little heroism and a bus ride to feel like a main character. As the bus rolled along, Pseudo couldn't help but think back to Asakura, the girl sitting next to him. She was an honor student, always acing her exams, totally out of his league. Like seriously, he might as well be trying to shoot his shot with a celebrity at this point. Just then, fate decided to intervene. Asakura, clearly exhausted, started to doze off while standing. You know it's a rough morning when even the honor student is catching Z's on public transport. Suddenly, the bus made a sharp turn, and before Pseudo could react, boom, Asakura fell right onto his lap. Pseudo's heart raced. Oh man, this is it. This is my chance. But then reality hit hard as she woke up, her eyes wide with surprise. What the? She screamed, and before he could even process it, she shot up, yelling, pervert. In a swift motion, she executed a judo move that left Pseudo gasping as she slammed him onto the ground. Dude, that was not the connection you were hoping for. Asakura glared down at Pseudo, absolutely livid. I can't believe a pervert like you would pull a move on me in broad daylight, she hissed, her voice so low and deadly it was practically setting off alarms. She leaned in, giving him a stare that could melt steel. I'll make you regret being born as a man. Pseudo's brain short-circuited. He started stammering out apologies, words spilling out faster than he could think. Our boy was 2 seconds away from begging for his life. He was out here rethinking all his life choices, wondering if it was too late to join the monastery instead, but just then, Asakura's gaze dropped to his uniform. Her expression shifted as she blinked in recognition. Wait, we're classmates, she said, sounding almost as horrified as he was. Talk about a plot twist. First she's ready to end him. Now she's acting like they're long-lost lab partners. She exhaled and rolled her eyes. I'm sorry. I thought you were just some random creep. Not someone I'd have to sit next to in class. Nothing like getting friend-zoned and enemy-zoned at the same time. Poor guy was getting whiplash. She wished she could have shown herself as a quieter girl at school. Sumu realized she had been a musclehead all this time, but she tells him not to call that her. Asakura sighed, finally admitting, yeah, I wanted to change. Guys always seemed scared of me, so I tried to be this quiet, studious type. She looked at Sudo and gave him a rare, vulnerable smile. Now you know my secret, so you better keep it. Sudo, feeling a mix of nerves and excitement, nodded, trying to play it cool. Yeah, right, our boy was practically shaking. This was the most intense interaction he'd had in years then. Something clicked, and he accidentally blurted, you always push yourself so hard, even in class. Asakura blinked, caught off guard. Wait, you noticed that? On like the second day smooth move, Sudi are out here reading her like a manga volume, and she didn't even see it coming. She gave him a wry smile, removing her glasses with a dramatic flourish. By the way, these glasses? Totally fake. Just part of the whole quiet girl act. She leaned in closer, locking eyes with him. Now that you've seen through me, you're holding this secret, Pseudo. So, you better be ready to take responsibility. Oh, she's got him hooked, and she knows it. Our boy Pseudo found himself completely smitten. Asakura's tough, hidden side made her even more endearing, and he could hardly believe this was all happening in a dream. Just as things were really heating up, he started to wake up. Man's luck is worse than mine when I'm this close to losing my V-card in a dream, only to wake up to my ceiling and crushing disappointment. Why, universe, when he lay there, thinking back. If only I'd helped her back then. Would my life be totally different right now, he sighed, glancing over at the mysterious manga he'd brought home. The whole thing felt so strange, especially since there wasn't a single author or publisher listed. Red flag alert, my dude. Manga without a title page? That's how curses start curiosity eating away at him. Sudo decided to test his theory. He pulled up his blanket and resolved to dive back into dreamland. 1 hour later, he was back in bed, trying to force himself to sleep like it was some kind of high-stakes science experiment. Dedication level 100, he's about to pull an all-nighter just for a chance with his dream girl. Real MVP. Sudo jolted awake this time, smack dab in the middle of his high school class. He realized immediately this wasn't reality, it was a continuation of his previous dream. Plot twist. Our boy's back in high school, and all because of that mysterious manga tucked under his pillow. Who knew bedtime reading could come with a side of time travel? Realizing he had a second chance, Sudo vowed to make up for his lack of real-life experience. All right, he thought, I'm going to use these dreams to become a Chad. The bell rang and he watched his classmates head out with their friends, reminding him of the loner days he had. Ah, classic high school flashbacks, almost like the universe is nudging him. Hey, maybe make a friend this time. Then, a blonde girl strolled up to him. She had the kind of figure that would stop traffic, and those thighs. Absolute powerhouses. Forget classmates, we're talking about a goddess here. She greeted him and reintroduced herself as Asakura. It hit Sudo like a ton of bricks. This was the same girl from yesterday, only now she looked even more comfortable, showing her true self. Trying not to blush, Sudo complimented her, which made her smile in a way that practically stopped his heart. She leaned in, coming close enough that he could practically feel her warmth, and whispered, "So did you tell anyone about my secret?" Our boy was sweating bullets, this close to freaking out, yet holding on for dear life. All that was going through his mind was, is this where things get spicy? Or do I say something stupid? Asakura hadn't breathed a word about her secret. In response, she gave him a sly smile and invited him to meet her in the reference room. Now, our boy's imagination went straight into overdrive, picturing all sorts of rewards she might have in mind for his loyalty. Was he finally going to cash in on those good deeds? But reality hit like a plot twist. Turns out Asakura only needed help moving a mountain of boxes. That's right, all those steamy dreams reduced to manual labor, she explained. She was the class representative and couldn't risk people thinking she was some kind of superhuman, carrying all those boxes solo. Our hero's grand romance was looking more like a workout montage. Sudo awkwardly remembered her judo skills and how she'd floored him last time. He tried to laugh it off, but she shot him a death glare. As she flipped him with yet another judo move, Sudo finally cracked, pleading, Hey, can you please stop? I'm getting a front row seat to, well, let's just say the hidden treasure between those thick, juicy thighs and that peachy paradise. My guy's out here staring straight into the best way a man could go out. Asakura's face went redder than a fire alarm, and she immediately let go only to start snapping his arm playfully in retaliation. As Sudo reflected on Asakura's unexpected choice to become class rep, she explained it was all part of her master plan to make rumors about her judo king past less believable. She'd even transferred far away to escape that reputation. Talk about dedication, this girl's running from her legend like it's an ex with baggage. Sudo couldn't help but admire her commitment and found himself completely drawn in. Right then, a commotion erupted nearby. A bunch of rowdy seniors barged into a dojo, shoes on and everything. Asakura couldn't stand by, so she stormed up to them, scolding them for wearing shoes on sacred ground. Our girl's got principles, and she's about to enforce them with a flying kick. The seniors turned, glaring, but Sudo pulled her back, whispering, "Remember, knew you." But Asakura wouldn't budge. When one of the seniors approached, threatening them, Sudo suddenly grabbed her arm and, in a burst of adrenaline, made a break for it. They barely made it around the corner before Asakura tripped, pulling him down with her. Not the smoothest getaway, but a for effort. My dude, seeing her on the ground, Sudo felt a surge of courage. This was his time to protect her, right? He picked up a mop, snapping it in half with his forehead in a crazy, desperate move. Now that's what you call a hero's resolve, though he looked more like a wobbly penguin than a knight in shining armor. The seniors, now fully freaked out, decided he was weird enough to back off. But just as the dust settled, Asakura threw herself at them, judo tossing each one as if she were tossing laundry on laundry day. Afterward, she felt relieved but quickly noticed Sudo's injuries, fussing over him with surprising gentleness. And then the moment of dreams. She offered him a lap pillow, thanking him for inspiring her to be a little braver.
Damn, what is that, bro?
Sudo, my guy, your brain's probably scrambled, but there are worse ways to go out. On that moment, Sudo realized he might actually have real feelings for her.
It should have been me, not him! It's not fair!
Just as they shared this almost perfect connection, he woke up abruptly, back in reality. Timing, man, always gotta cut off right when it's getting good. But seeing the mysterious manga still on his bedside table, Sudo knew he could go back into his dreams any time. He shook his head, reminding himself it was just a dream. But was it really? This guy's one pillow away from the romance of a lifetime. Meanwhile, on the other side of town, a woman awoke, stretching and groaning a bit, feeling an unexpected weight. And yep, time's been good to her thick thighs and a curvy figure that's all grown up. As she rubbed her eyes, the details of her dream lingered, remarkably vivid. There she was, back in high school, sharing secrets with someone she never thought she'd trust. She glanced at her old high school yearbook and flipped to Sudo's photo, studying it for a moment. Why had she dreamt about him? Of all people. They'd barely spoken back then, yet in her dream, he'd felt oddly comforting. Shaking her head, Asakura did a few stretches, smiling as she caught her reflection in the mirror. Maybe this was life's way of giving her a second chance, she thought, before heading out for the day.